Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome in, my friends, to another episode of Behind the Pen. My name is Mike Rankin, and I will be your host for today's show, and I'm by myself. But that's okay, because I'm following up last week's episode with Ricky Widmer and Dave Oster, which we talked a lot of Bears, Bulls conversation as well. It was really fun. You can check out the entire full-length episode on Blog Talk Radio /Behind the Pen. I'm going to talk more Bears and Bulls this week because I can't stop. They just continue to be in the news. Even during the offseason, the Super Bowl week, the Bears are making headlines, which is good for me because that's all I really talk about is the Chicago Bears. And when it comes to the Bulls, what else am I mean, of course I'm going to talk Bulls. Of course I am. So they're also in the news with some rumors and things. So I'm going to get into that. My last segment, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll probably make it up as I go. So we'll see. Hopefully you stay tuned to the entirety of the show, which you can do on blogtalkradio.com /Behind the Pen. All of them are laid out there for you. Also, if you go to Blog Talk Radio, our full-length podcast and all of the shows that we offer for you are right there. If you're on YouTube, what's up, guys? You guys are awesome. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers. By the time you listen to this video, hopefully we're past it. But at 5,000, you guys get to roast Ricky Widmer. I'm so much looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that really since I joined Most Valuable Podcast. And that was back when we had like 800 subscribers on YouTube. So we've grown exponentially over the last year or so, and it's all thanks to you guys. You guys are awesome. Continue to like, comment, share. Let us know what you think. Hopefully we continue to entertain you because I'll be here. Subscribe Most Valuable Podcast on YouTube. I'm going to start with the Chicago Bears conversation. I should probably preview what I want to talk about on the Bulls too. So for the Bears, some names flying around, right? They're making headlines regarding a specific player that I talked about before in a couple podcasts here, and it's regarding the quarterback position. That's Jimmy G. He's going to be in it. Also, with the Bulls, another name flying around, some rumors. Could this really be happening? The Bulls possibly making a trade? Jahlil Okafor related to the Chicago Bulls in terms of, I don't know, I guess they're interested. So I'm going to comment on that, and then we'll figure it out. Well, let's start with this Bears conversation. Guys, thank you so much for checking in on YouTube. If you're here, drop a like down below. Let me talk about this because, boy, this kind of gets me excited a little bit. A little bit of excitement following really what was an abomination of a season, right? 3-13, so many steps backwards with John Fox's club. Is he going to be back next year? Well, obviously he is now, but there were questions midseason like, okay, he shouldn't be back. Some made that claim, which you could argue. That's fine. But this is it, guys. Like next season, this offseason is such a huge evaluation period for the progression of this franchise. And it goes back to Pace. I think Pace is on a little bit thicker ice than, say, a John Fox. So, I mean, that's not really the conversation we're having right now. But something of note and interest popped up this week. Jimmy Garoppolo, apparently on the Bears' radar. Ryan Pace, a huge fan, and this could happen. This could happen. The Patriots have made it clear that they're okay with dealing Jimmy G, not Jimmy G Buckets. We'll get to him later. But Jimmy Garoppolo, because apparently, I don't know if you've noticed, but Tom Brady looks like he's 30 years old, and he's going to be 40 soon. So I don't know how many years Brady has left. It looks like he could still play for another few. So Jimmy Garoppolo, right now, I believe he has 1 year left before he's a free agent. So this is an interesting time for the Chicago Bears and New England Patriots. And the Bears, if they want to acquire Jimmy G, they have what it takes to get him. They're going to have to give up some stuff. Some pretty solid value. I mean, Sam Bradford got a first-round pick. So, all right, let's dive into this conversation. So apparently Jason La Canfora noted that Ryan Pace is a big fan of Jimmy G and that they're, quote, all in on acquiring the quarterback. Now, that's in play. And it's a very interesting conversation to have because the Bears have 3 picks in the top 70 in this draft, right? And they may be going, and teams interested in Jimmy Garoppolo probably include the Browns. The Browns have 2 first-round picks, a high second-round pick, right? So they're in play. Maybe Houston as well. I'm not sure how confident they are in Brock Osweiler. So other teams in play, but I think the Bears have enough to get this deal done, and I would be a huge fan. Guys, I would be a huge fan. I spoke about it before, actually twice in consecutive weeks on this show regarding Jimmy Garoppolo. You can check those out. I forget the title, but they're there. They're there. You should listen to them because I'm a fan. I'm a believer. I think in acquiring a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, given the current situation of the Bears, it would increase their time frame to relevancy. And I say that because if I look at this roster, yes, there's positions of need all over the board. Of course, in the secondary, you have to include the secondary. They might totally revamp it. It might be totally different starting next season. We don't know yet. Well, like, there's so much going on in this draft. It's loaded. So, all right, position of need, quarterback, Bears, right? Quarterback-driven league. Yes, obviously. Who among the quarterbacks in this year's draft do you believe are guys that you want to take a chance on? Many believe Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Kaiser, those guys are going to be gone before the Bears have their second-round pick at 36. So if that comes into play, okay, who is left? Brad Kaya? Pat Mahomes? Is he going to be, a first-round pick? Is he rated that high? Davis Webb? Jared Evans? Josh Dobbs? Chad Kelly? Blech, who? Guys, come on. So you're looking at this current quarterback class. There are so many questions surrounding these prospects. And what is it? These quarterbacks are prospects. Now, among all of them, I'm a huge fan of Deshaun Watson. I am. I don't think he's worth the third pick. And by 36, he'll most likely be gone, right? So I am not taking him at 3. If the Bears want to trade back and get him, that's an option too. But if you're going to trade, you might as well trade for Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. And I tell you this because among all quarterbacks available, you want a guy who's seen NFL experience already. He's been on the field. Yeah, it's limited, very limited, of course. But you have NFL film on the guy compared to not having any on other potential prospects. And you're going to tell me right now that Jimmy Garoppolo is not the highest rated NFL quarterback prospect among all available? Are you kidding me? You're lying to yourself. Or you're just not paying close enough attention. Jimmy Garoppolo, entering his 26-year-old season, has 3 seasons under his belt at the NFL level. He is ready to step in as an NFL starter, and he could be your centerpiece. He could be the guy. So what would it take to acquire him? And that's a great question. The Chicago Bears are in a pretty decent spot, right? They have 7 draft picks, 2 in the 4th round. They don't have a 6th-round pick. So they don't necessarily have to give the number 3 overall draft pick in the 1st round. Now, if it comes to that, because the Browns have leverage here, right? They have 2 first-round picks, a high pick in the 2nd round, and they could also offer more. So if the Bears get their hand played, so to speak, I would back off. I'd fold. I'd say, hell no, I'm keeping the 1st-round pick, and I'll take Jonathan Allen, Jamal Adams, whatever, right? Most likely Jonathan Allen. You can't give up the 3rd pick. You can't do it in this situation, given the Bears' current construct on the roster. There's just too many positions in need, and the number 3 pick is an automatic game changer, an NFL starter. Jamal Adams is ready to go. And if you look at it this way, well, you're drafting Jimmy Garoppolo 3rd overall. But how much more are you giving up for that? You got to understand how valuable that 3 pick is. I wouldn't do it, but to take the risk in acquiring him, and this is a leap, and I would give Ryan Pace a lot of credit for having the balls to pull this move off, right? Because this is the Bears we're talking about. Stuff like this doesn't happen all the time. This is an opportunity to accelerate the time frame of relevancy. This is it. If you get Jimmy Garoppolo, they have a 2nd-round pick to offer. They can do it. And maybe a future 2nd. And they could even add in something else. That's how much it would cost to get Jimmy G. Now, is he worth it? I think the risk is okay. I would take that risk. I would do it. I would absolutely go after Jimmy Garoppolo, and I would commit to this guy as the franchise quarterback the Bears have been looking for. And I mean, this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Cutler's time in Chicago is most likely done. They have until, I believe, March 12th to make a decision on Cutler before they're hit with a guaranteed cap of, 17, 18, 19 million that he's owed for next season. So they have time. And I think they can't make a trade until March 9th. So the Bears have about a month to figure this out And this is an opportunity for them to legitimize their quarterback position. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo has the tools. He's got the size. He's got the arm, the accuracy. He's got the awareness. And of course, being coached under Belichick, McDaniels, watching the greatest of all time in front of him do it for years and years, 3 exactly, that's a benefit. That's a plus. Now, the question is, can that translate to the Chicago Bears? Because we know that the Chicago Bears organization as a whole is miserable, absolutely miserable for 51 years, right? They have 1 Super Bowl win. They've been to it twice, 2 times. They got there building a defense. They didn't have a quarterback. They almost won the Super Bowl. Bears are trying to build their defense again. John Fox, Vic Fangio, that's their specialty. John Fox really hasn't developed a quarterback ever in his career. He lucked out with having Peyton Manning take him to a Super Bowl in which they got obliterated by the Seattle Seahawks, right? Before that, what, Jake Delhomme? Really? Do you know what Dowell Loggins and this coach? And by the way, if you haven't really noticed, Bears coaching staffs they're dropping like flies. Assistants are leaving, wide receiver coaches are leaving. That's writing on the wall. I mean, we kind of figured that they knew what was happening. There was major changes going on within this regime, and it's happening in front of our eyes. That's why it's such a critical offseason. And John Fox, Ryan Pace, they're going to be under a microscope. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because another year similar to this. Now, I would bet so much money that they don't win 3 games again. They have to win more than 3 games next year, right? 6, 7, 8, 9 wins. That's progression. But it's not really so much looking at the overall win total. It's just understanding where the Bears are moving towards as a whole, right? Where's the direction of this team going? Do they have an identity? What are their strengths? Because I don't really know much. Their front seven, they're strong. They're getting to the quarterback, which is really good to see. That's probably their biggest strength. Jordan Howard, of course, turned into an absolute stud in his first season. The Bears are very thankful to have him. Interior offensive line, that's a strength. What else? Nothing. That's it. Their wide receiver core, that's a problem for Pace. He's got to figure it out, right? Because you can't rely on Marquise Wilson. He just hurt all the time. Kevin White, you have no idea what you have with Kevin White. He has skill, but you don't know because he's never on the field. Alshon Jeffrey's got to be taken care of. Is he going to move on? The Bears going to franchise him again? Are they going to extend him? You don't know. And to that point real quick, I don't know how much Alshon wants to stay in Chicago. To me, just from the outside looking in, it looks like he wants to get out. So that's a lot of money coming into play for one player specifically. And speaking of money, if you're going to extend Alshon, what are you going to do about Jimmy G? Because, the Bears have $50 million, over $50 million in cap space, and you expect them to make some sort of deal in free agency this year. Whether it's a cornerback, safety. I know Eric Berry's been floating around. The Texans cornerbacks are involved as well. We're going to keep an eye on that, obviously. The Bears, $50 million in cap space. This is another. And you know what? I have to credit Ryan Pace because he's been savvy in his free agent signing, so that's obviously a good sign. His draft picks, for the most part, have turned out well, right? But this is still a critical offseason for him. But I bring up the money situation because Jimmy Garoppolo will be a free agent after next season. So he has 1 year under contract, and then you're going to have to pay him. So if you're trading for Jimmy G, you're going to sign him to an extension, and that's got to be done. Quarterbacks don't come cheap. And his first contract may not be exponential, but it'll cost a pretty penny, and you're going to have to invest in a guy in Jimmy G, and you don't know really what you got yet, right? You're going to see 1 year of Garoppolo. This is all hypothetical. I'm a fan of it. I want the Bears to get him. But you'll have 1 year of game film of Jimmy G, barring injury. Obviously, that doesn't need to be said, with the Chicago Bears, and then you're going to have to pay him. So the Bears are apparently interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. Ryan Pace is a really big fan of him. Apparently, he was scouting him out of college in 2014 while he was with the Saints. He's a Chicago guy. I don't know how much that plays into it. If he wants to, he has no choice. But Chicago guy, you need more Chicago guys in Chicago playing for the Bears. They understand Bear weather and the traditions of the Bears in Ditka. So, what do you guys think? Should he come to the Chicago Bears? Should they make this move? If I told you for a couple second-round picks, this year, next year's second-round pick, even maybe next year's first-round pick, right? But then, obviously, the deal would sway either way. But right now, I would call it 2 second-round picks and something else. Something else. Would you do it? because I would in a heartbeat. I would absolutely make that commitment. And that's just me. I'm a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, guys. You're going to have to live with it. I'm a big fan of Jay Cutler. I'll also say that. I'll defend him till the sun goes down every single day of my life. And I say that because I understand what the Bears went through before Jay Cutler was in Chicago. They had nothing, guys. They had no quarterbacks. Jim Miller was their best. If you're going to say Kyle Orton, get the hell out of here. Don't talk to me, because that's not even close. But Jerry Angelo, and this is very similar what the Bears are going to now, what Jerry Angelo went through in 2009 when he made that commitment to go get Jay Cutler, which I applaud. I was all for it. At that time, the Bears were building something, and they were a quarterback away. They felt like Jay Cutler was their guy. Things didn't work out for a multitude of reasons. Cutler got hurt in 2011. In a year, they were really good. 2010 took them to the NFC Championship game. They were good that season. 2012 went 10-6. Lovie Smith got fired. They made the biggest mistake in franchise history in hiring Mark Trestman. And then from there, it was just terrible. You can put all the blame on Cutler you want for the Bears being into the position they are today, but it's relevant. It's relevant because it's similar to the situation the Bears are in now, committing to Jimmy G. And Jimmy G is the guy to get at this point. So final thoughts on this Jimmy Garoppolo rumor conversation. Remember, Jason La Canfora said that apparently Ryan Pace is interested. He's going to go all in on acquiring Jimmy G. So we'll see what transpires. You know, La Canfora sometimes is a little iffy on his sources, but you know, it's a report. I'm going to talk about it, and I hope it comes to fruition because this would be an awesome opportunity for the Bears to return to relevancy. So we look at the situation. The Bears have the resources to acquire Jimmy G. It makes sense for them to do so because of their current state. Do they want to commit to a quarterback? They have a number 3 pick, and that's what makes it hard. If they were maybe later in the rounds and they were still looking for a quarterback, later in the first round, I'd probably take a risk on one of these guys. It would probably be worth it. But at 3, no way. And then by the second round, pick 36, these guys are probably off the board. So what are you going to commit to? A later round quarterback? It's going to be tough. This is a guaranteed NFL starter. Why? Because he's proven that he can do it. And he has NFL experience, 3 years of NFL development, playing in an NFL system, practicing, doing all of this, learning. And plus he has NFL skills, right? He's got the tools to be a capable NFL quarterback. A lot of scouts consider him to be legit. I would take that risk. I would go for it. Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.